Hey everybody, this is Valencia. Welcome to my channel Balloons in Business, where I show you the business of balloon and event decor. So I am waiting right now on this hot summer day for this venue to let me in. Today I'm going to be doing a video on one of the more challenging parts of being an event decorator, and that is dealing with a very restricted setup time. Okay, my setup time is going to be about 30 to 40 minutes today. So I'm actually at this location. It's like an activity center where, kids jump and play, something like what I have for my son. And a lot of these places are notorious for giving you very, very restricted setup times, usually about 30 minutes. Okay, so I actually had a lot of stuff to do in a short period of time. So I wanted to show you guys how I prepared and how I set up for this event. Okay, so this is my backdrop stand that I got from eFavorMart. It adjusts from 4 feet tall all the way up to 10 feet tall. This bar also goes from 4 feet to 10 feet across. So right now I am taping my backdrop to the top pole right here. So I'm doing that ahead of time, and I'm going to keep this extended so when I get to the location, I'm just going to set these poles up and then just put the bar on the pole, and then the backdrop will already be up. I'm going to leave some excess backdrop so that this pole can be covered up. Okay. So this is one of the 6 Paw Patrol centerpieces that I made. I will be transporting them into 2 pieces and then connecting them together when I get to the location. And this is the Paw Patrol balloon bouquet that I made for the entrance of the venue. For those of you that are curious, I did use my Cricut machine to cut out the bones and to cut out the vinyl for the wording on the balloons. So I'm using my usual technique. I'm blowing up 2 balloons at a time, rounding them out, and tying them together into dupes. Those were 11-inch balloons, by the way. In addition to that, I will be blowing up some 18-inch balloons and 5-inch balloons for my small 5-inch clusters. So I'm going to take my dupes and I'm going to twist them together into clusters. So I'm going to double twist them. And I twist together 2 11-inch dupes and 1 18-inch dupes into a cluster of 6 balloons. So I'm going to use my 260 balloons. I'm going to tie them together, tie the ends to make like a rubber band. And I'm going to use those to attach my clusters together. So I'm just going to wrap a couple of balloons in that 260 in one cluster, then take another cluster and wrap at least 2 to 3 balloons in that cluster to the same 260 hue. And you want to wrap the 11-inch balloons in there as opposed to the 18-inch balloons, because you can fit more balloons into that 260. So I'm going to be transporting this balloon garland into pieces. So, one of my pieces will have about 6 or 7 of these clusters, and then the other piece will have about 4 clusters, and then I will attach those together at the location. So to save on time, I will blow up my 5-inch clusters. So I'm going to blow them up, tie them together, and twist them together into clusters, and even attach a 260 balloon. I'll attach a half of one to save on material. Just showing you what I'm packing in my box. These are all the materials I'm going to need for when I get to the location. So setup time is 3:30. I have been here since about 3:05. So I've been waiting and I'm ready to go. They said they're going to let us in possibly in at 3:20, so a few more minutes from now. So hopefully they can let me in and get me in there. But I got about 5 to 6 more minutes left before I got to go in there. And, I guess they want us to sign in, and then I got to go around to the back, park my vehicle, and then take all of this stuff out. So yeah, wish me luck. So I finally got into the location. It took about 10 minutes to unload everything. And so now you see me tying a 260 around a backdrop clip. So one of the difficulties when attaching a balloon garland to a fabric backdrop is making sure that it sits nicely onto the backdrop. So you want to get the clip to attach the fabric to the backdrop pole, and then you want to actually attach your balloon garland to the clip, not the backdrop pole. That way the balloon garland sits nice on top of the fabric and you don't get that gap on the sides. So I'm just using the 260Q to wrap it around the balloon garland, and that's how I'm attaching it to the backdrop. And you see me attaching the other piece of that balloon garland with a 260Q as well, and then I'm going to attach that to the top right there of the backdrop. Now you see on the top right hand side that extra cluster of yellow balloons sticking out. I'm going to untwist that and actually add it to the yellow cluster to the top right there, so it's not sticking out. But right now I'm just adding in some clusters of 4 balloons to my balloon garland to thicken it up on the side, and I'm using a 260 to add them. And I'm also going to be twisting some dupes into the top right there. So you can see that I added some clusters of the paw pattern balloons as well using a 260Q balloon. And now I'm adding my 5-inch clusters that I blew up at my house. And now I'm using some duct tape to attach the fabric on the other side of the pole so you don't see. And I'm just putting as many finishing touches as I could. I was running out on time. I did want to add some more clusters at that top left corner right there. I want to add some more paw pattern balloons, but I didn't have enough time to do that. So, I mean, that sucks, but it is what it is. I added some balloon shine to restore the shininess, and then I put my tablecloth on top so that they can put the desserts on there. So this is the finished product. Now, I will admit that it took me about 50 minutes to finish everything from the time I unloaded my vehicle to the time I set everything up, which was about 20 minutes over time. But honestly, it was not realistic for me to finish all of this work in 30 minutes. But the client understood and she was very helpful. I will say it took me about 25 minutes for this particular balloon garland and backdrop setup, which is like the quickest setup I've ever done. So I'm proud of myself for that. Plus, most of the guests entered through the front while I was in the back room working. So by the time they made their way to the back rooms, I was already done. All in all, the client and her guests loved the decorations and she wanted to hire me again for another event. So I would have to say that despite the time restrictions, the setup was successful. A few things to advise on. Number one, you want to be clear with the client exactly what you can and cannot do for them. Do not overpromise, because then you'll be having to pay back a refund if you cannot finish something or provide something because you ran out of time. Okay, so do not overpromise. Be clear with what you can do within that time frame. Secondly, you want to make sure you prepare as much of your decorations as possible. I got a whole lot of stuff back here. I have a balloon garland to do, fabric backdrop, a table with tablecloth, 6 centerpieces, and a balloon bouquet that they wanted done. I was able to do that because the centerpieces and the balloon bouquet you can prepare ahead of time and already have those finished. My balloon garland base, I was able to get that finished, as well as my fillers, already have those ready to go. The third thing is be early, and that gives you time to find out where you need to park, to unload your vehicle, and to get everything ready so that when your time hits, you're ready to go, okay? And with that being said, I would advise that if possible, try to avoid events with very restrictive setup times to begin with. I would suggest at least 1 to 2 hours setup time for the type of event that I just decorated. Restrictive setup times can cause a lot of undue stress, and it can mess with the quality of your work. So if you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, go ahead on and like it and subscribe, and you'll get notifications on future videos on balloon and event decor. And until next time, I will see you guys later.